Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Expert, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday, so please make sure to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We've got a lot to discuss today. This week has been a little bit manic. We've had a lot of fluctuations in the prices in the markets this week, and we've had a lot of news within the last couple of days as well. Now, this hasn't really created too much volatility for Bitcoin within the last 24 hours. So we are actually only down 0.4% within the last 24 hours for Bitcoin and only down 0.7% for Ethereum. But we're actually seeing huge volumes in the markets right now. Bitcoin's price hasn't been dramatically impacted in the last 24 hours, but there is still news to discuss here. And there are actually big volumes going on behind the scenes here. So we've got a lot to discuss today. So please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button. Help us grow the channel as big as possible. Comment down below, share the stream with your friends, just interact as much as you can, and we'll grow the channel as big as possible in 2024. Let's take a look at what's going on with the biggest gainers and losers of the day here in the markets right now. So in terms of the biggest gainers for the last 24 hours, we're looking at Helium up almost 16%, IOTA up almost 12%, and ICP up almost 6%, as well as Chili's there. If we're taking a look at the biggest losers, we've got SEI down over 8%, and then we've got Curve, Convex, and Ethereum Proof of Work down around 4% for all three of those there. So we are still seeing fluctuations in the markets in terms of altcoins. We're just not really seeing those fluctuations for Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. If we take a look at some of these big altcoins here, you can see they have had dramatic moves within the last week though, and so has Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin is down 5% in the last week, Ethereum down 11%. So we are still in some pretty interesting times right now. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Rob says your mobile is interfering with the mic. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that's all better. Good morning, Rob. Thank you very much for tuning in. And PG and Monkey Nuts, thank you all for tuning in as always. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button. We've got 8 likes on today's stream. Let's set a like goal for today's stream. Let's try and get 25 likes by the end of today's stream. I think since the spot Bitcoin ETFs have launched, the interest in Bitcoin and crypto has gone down slightly, so the views aren't as high, but we need to still get those like goals. So please make sure to like today's stream if you have not already. Let's take a look at what's going on here in the market. So as I say, there's a huge amount of volatility when it comes to altcoins, and I'm really looking at what's happening in the markets right now as an opportunity. So let's take a look at Bitcoin and let's go through the chart that we drew out yesterday, because there's a lot of questions in the markets right now surrounding whether this is the end of the dump for Bitcoin or if we are going to go lower. Now, as we've been discussing in the last couple of streams, something we need to be looking at here is the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. So let's pull that up for today's stream. Let's see if this is the correct one. Yeah, we've got it first attempt today. That was not the same yet as yesterday. What we can see on the 3-day chart is we actually have a few key levels surrounding the price of Bitcoin right now, which are, if Bitcoin were to hit these points, we would see a huge amount of traders being liquidated. Now, we all know that Bitcoin takes the path of most pain, so these yellow lines on this chart kind of act like a magnet for Bitcoin. What we can see is if Bitcoin goes all the way up to $40,800, we could see a huge amount of traders liquidated. Similarly, if Bitcoin goes down to $38,000, we could see a huge amount of traders liquidated. If we go onto this time frame, you can see that the higher levels there, we're looking at around $40,830. So in the short term, in terms of bullish magnets, we're looking at around this point here, this yellow line here. Now, if we zoom out, you can see there are much stronger levels impacting the price of Bitcoin right now on the bigger time frame. So you can see that in the grand scheme of things, these liquidation levels here aren't too important because we've got a major liquidation level at $34,000. So if Bitcoin comes down to that $34,000 level, a huge amount of traders have their liquidation price at that point, so they will get liquidated. So that's at $34,000. If we put this onto our price chart here as well, So let's set this all up. $34,000. Let's get that perfectly on the dot. This is also acting like a magnet for the Bitcoin price. In fact, I would say this is a much stronger magnet. So we'll make that line thicker there. So they're the two magnets we're looking at in terms of Bitcoin taking the path of most pain. If we take a look at what else is going on here, you can see there's some other key liquidation levels on the way. Nothing too important. If we zoom in a little bit more, we might be able to draw a few other lines out from here. I think these are the main points really in terms of that higher level, that one at 40,872. It's much weaker than this lower level. It is just acting kind of on the smaller time frame there, but definitely something to be aware of. Now, why is this important? Well, we've been highlighting levels of significant support and resistance on the daily chart. So this is the daily chart right now, and I'm going to draw the levels of support and resistance in white. So you can see if we zoom in right now to between December and January, we have used the $41,200 level as a level of support numerous times when it comes to the bodies of these candles and the wicks here as well. So this is a significant level. Before we continue there, Rob has just donated £5 to the stream today. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I really appreciate that donation there. And it says, just a thanks for your continued daily updates. Only show I make sure I watch each and every day. Thank you very much for tuning in every day. I really appreciate that donation. Thank you very, very much. Hopefully there'll be more to come as the channel grows. I really do appreciate that. Terry Toucan says, your hair looks a shade or two darker. My hair is the same colour every single day. No changes there. Let's take a look at what's going on here. So we have that significant level of previous support at $41,260. I'm interested to see if we are going to head up to those levels, if we can get back above that level of support, or if it is going to hold and we are going to flip it and use it as a level of resistance. So that's what we're really waiting on here. Yes, we have a little bit of bullish momentum. We are seeing the last kind of 3 days so far looking green in the markets, but is that going to last? I think we'll really get that sign. We'll really know for sure once we do manage to get back up to that $41,200 level, if we even get that far. So this is what I'm looking at, and having that kind of magnet just below this level gives me more of a confidence that we are going to retest that level at least before we do make any drastic movements in the markets. Now, in terms of levels of support that we could be seeing in the markets right now, we have this one here at $37,880 used numerous times back in November last year, and we clearly have one back down here that has acted as a level of resistance numerous times in the previous bull market. So if we take a look at this range here between here and here, if we pull this the whole way back, you can see that this whole range has been significant in the bull market. Now this is between $33,000 and $34,000. That liquidation point is right smack bang in the middle of that. So we could see us come down and liquidate these traders at some point in time in the future. So definitely something to be aware of. But is this going to happen right now? Well, there's a few things to note here. If I was purely going off what's happened on the charts right now, I would say there's a high probability that we were actually going to hit that $34,000 level, and we were going to continue to see this pullback further, because so far Bitcoin has done a pullback of 22% at the maximum, I think, 22% there. And yes, that fits in with the typical trends of a pullback during a bull market, but so does coming down and getting a 30% pullback. And that's where that liquidation level is. So it fits in perfectly with the trend. It liquidates a load of traders. That sounds like what Bitcoin's going to do. It's the path of most pain at the end of the day. So if I was purely going off the charts, I would be looking at that level as a key level and as a target actually for this kind of next couple of weeks, or next couple of these things happen pretty quickly. When we're looking at a pullback, it tends to be like 2 or 3 weeks. So I'd be looking at the next couple of weeks for that kind of price target if I was just going off what happens in the markets. But we need to take a look at what's going on in the news, because the news is highlighting things that we can't see just by looking at the price. So let's take a look at what's going in the news today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Thank you very much for that donation, Rob. I very much appreciate it. Bruce has said in the chat, hello everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in as always. And everybody else in the chat today, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. Let's try and get the stream to 25 likes before we finish off today. We've got a lot to discuss here. Boris says, hi Jess from the Philippines. I agree, we will hit 30k. but hodling, I think that's meant to say. 34,000 is my bearish, no, my most bear. I mean, if we hit this point and all of those traders get liquidated, we will for a period of time shoot down below it, because as soon as they get liquidated, their orders will be closed and we will see that selling pressure into the market. I would expect at that point we do see a huge amount of buying power and we get some sort of wick. If we're going to see this price action down here, what I would expect is we see a bounce here, use this level of previous support as a level of resistance, come down here, maybe test this level for a while, and then if we do break down below that, then we'll be looking to see if it acts as a resistance. If it does, then we could be looking at these lower levels. As soon as we hit this pit, we'd have a sharp move to the downside off the back of those liquidations, and then I imagine there's loads of liquidity there that will pull us back up here, maybe see some more sideways action, and then continue onto this bull market and see some positive price action. We all also know, though, this is a lot of information at once, we all also know that the Bitcoin halving is in April, and typically around a Bitcoin halving, it's not super bullish. So I wouldn't be surprised if, yes, we could regain this level and then we start to see a little bit of bearish momentum going into April around that Bitcoin halving there. So if the chart looks something like this by the time we get to April, I wouldn't be completely shocked. Someone screenshot this for me and show me it if it's right. If it's wrong, don't show me it. I don't want to know. What we're looking at here is, this is definitely a possibility in the markets, but when you're looking at the news, there's more bullish things to be aware of. There's more that meets the eye when you're looking at the price target, and this is why I say it's so important to stay up to date with what's going on in the news and tuning into these live streams every day, because there's more than we can see on the surface here. We're going to be looking at on-chain analysis here, looking at what's been actually going on in terms of transaction volume, and we're going to take a look at why we've had this dump in the first place. So as we reported yesterday, initially, the reason we've seen so much negativity surrounding these spot Bitcoin ETFs is because there's been a huge amount of outflows when it comes to GBTC, Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust. Now, we have later found out that the majority of the outflows from GBTC was actually from FTX. Now, they've finished selling their GBTC, so all of that selling pressure has come to an end. And this creates a possibility here that the selling pressure is over, the dump is over, and we could be moving to the upside. That is a potential option here. So what we're seeing is the Bitcoin ETFs launched here. The SEC said, yeah, Bitcoin ETFs can go live. We had a bit of a sideways price action, and then the products launched. We saw a little bit of a move to the upside. I think a lot of people wanted a lot more. And then FTX started selling their GBTC, and the amount of outflows from these ETFs just continued to come, and the markets did dump there. But now we know the source of this selling pressure. It kind of relieves that fear in the markets and opens up the door again to the possibility that we could have some really short to mid-term bullish price action off the back of these ETFs. So that's definitely something to be keeping an eye on. But let's see what else is going on in the markets here, because we have some other things to be looking at here. We're going to flip now to the more bearish scenario again. Throughout today's stream, we're going to be talking about the bullish scenario, that the selling pressure is over, and we'll be looking at the bearish scenario, that we have that liquidation level, and we'll be flipping between the two so that we can make a more informed decision on what's happening. And then at the end of today's stream, I'll describe how I'm dealing with all of this information and how I'm preparing myself with my portfolio. Before we continue though, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. As I said, we do these live streams every single weekday, so I would appreciate it if you tune in and educate yourself about the cryptocurrency space before what could be the biggest year in crypto 2024. Things are heating up, things are looking exciting, and learning about the industry now is super important. But let's take a look at this article here, because Arthur Hayes believes that strong headwinds could push Bitcoin down further from its current level of around $40,000. So he's looking for support between $30,000 and $35,000. Now this lines up nicely with the price prediction chart that I have just drawn up here, but let's take a look at his opinions here. So, according to former BitMEX CEO, Bitcoin will have to confront a challenging set of issues in the first quarter of the year, which could lead to downside volatility. Hayes discussed these issues in the latest blog post, Yelling or Talking. He outlined that these challenges come in various forms, including the Red Sea conflict between the US and the Houthis, impacting global shipping, the US presidential election race, and the Federal Reserve policy. So there's things that are going out on external to the cryptocurrency space that we need to be aware of. They may create some selling pressure, some fear in the general general markets, and that may have some sort of effect on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin as well. So in the context of Bitcoin, the combination of liquidity turmoil, BTFP, uncertainty, and geopolitical risks suggest that the recent 20% Bitcoin price dip may be just the start of the drawdown. Hayes predicts a 30% correction from the ETF approval high of $48,000, targeting a range between $30,000 and $35,000 as potential support. Now, if we go back to the price of Bitcoin and we take a look at what happened in the previous bull market, you can see that a 20-30% drop is completely common between in a bull market. You can see back in what date is this? January 2021, we saw a 30% pullback. If we go a little bit earlier than this, you can see that we had a pullback back in August 2020 that brought us down 20%. You can see we had another one here. If we draw it from here to here, 16%. There are a number of pullbacks typically in a bull market that will range between 20 to 30%. We've got another one here, 26%. We've got another one here at 18%. So we are typically seeing volatility like this in a bull market. Seeing some more pullbacks in this market is expected. I like to see it as an opportunity. Buy the fear, sell the greed. What we're looking at right now is, yes, if we're saying, look, the bull market started here, that $16,000 level was the end of the bear market, which, by the way, we were calling here on this channel at the time, you can see we have seen some significant pullbacks already in this bull market. So we've had a 22% pullback, we have had a 20% pullback, and a 22% pullback there as well, and we have now had a really strong move to the upside. So it looks like look, it is time to have a pullback at this point. Now we are currently down 20% from the high after the ETFs launched. If we pull this from here to here, the maximum loss that we've seen so far is 21.43% there. We can go lower. It's not uncommon for us to see a 30% pullback here. As I've said, this would bring us down to that key liquidation level. As we take a look at this, there's a big liquidation point at $34,000. If we hit $34,000, a huge amount of long traders get liquidated. And that acts like a magnet for the Bitcoin price because Bitcoin takes the path of most pain. So as we've seen here on this prediction here, we may see a confirmation bounce from this level of previous support at $41,300. And that will be a telltale sign to me as to which direction the Bitcoin price is going to go. If we see a rejection from that and we use it as a level of resistance, then we need to be looking at lower supports. And that's what I'll be looking at $37,800 level. If, however, we don't use it as a resistance and we manage to break back above it, then brilliant. We've seen a 20% pullback. Maybe that was it. That's what we need to be looking at right now. And the news is telling a different story to the charts. The charts are looking particularly bearish, in my opinion, especially if we get that confirmation bounce from that level of resistance. Arthur Hayes is looking pretty bearish when we're looking at what's going on in the world outside of cryptocurrency. But we do have some positive news articles as well. As I said, FTX has stopped selling GBTC, and according to this CryptoSlate article, the market is absorbing enormous selling pressure with little movement. So, on-chain metrics show that the market managed to absorb extremely high selling pressure in the face of Bitcoin ETF-induced volatility. If we take a look here, we can see the volatility caused by the launch of spot Bitcoin ETFs in the US has wiped over $115 billion off Bitcoin's market cap. There has been a significant increase in realized losses in the week following the ETF launch, with short-term holders bearing the brunt of these losses. Significant outflows from Grayscale's GBTC have led to, we need to become a CryptoSlate Alpha. I will speak to the team about that actually, because that's happened a couple of times on today's stream. The main points that I wanted to point out here is the market is absorbing enormous selling pressure with little movement. So what we're seeing when it comes to on-chain metrics is that there has actually been a huge amount of selling volumes in the markets, but they have been absorbed. So even though we've seen increased selling pressure, the buying pressure has outweighed that, and we've managed to hold Bitcoin's price pretty nicely. We haven't seen huge wicks. We've not seen huge volatility in the last 3 days or so. We have seen Bitcoin's price have a pretty tight price range. So although we are seeing that selling pressure, we are managing to hold on to this without seeing that big wicky price action that just liquidates a huge amount of traders consistently. So when we're looking at that, you can see there is definitely some positivity in the markets here. Before we continue, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Hello, Ladislav. Hello, Jason. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Let's take a look at what else is going on here in the market. So that article is a little bit bullish. And we are seeing here Bitcoin has recovered above $40,000 amidst GBTC outflows, other ETF inflows. So Bitcoin bounces back above $40,100 amid shifting ETF inflows and outflows. GBTC movements point to market impact. So yes, we have seen the markets move to the downside as a result of GBTC outflows, but has that come to an end? Are we going to see that start to taper off? Let's see what's going on here. Ryan B says, if you've been holding and accumulating since 13,000, a 20-30% pullback, normal pullback shouldn't bother you from 45k. Exactly. Well, this is where I wanted to get on to how I'm dealing with this pullback. Now, a lot of you know on the channel right now, I've been accumulating Bitcoin throughout this whole bear market, essentially, just buying Bitcoin. A lot of people have been buying altcoins and they've managed to make huge gains from that. But I chose to just concentrate on accumulating Bitcoin because typically in a 4-year cycle, what we see is Bitcoin really performs well, then high cap coins perform well, then mid cap coins perform well, and then low cap coins perform well. So I chose to accumulate Bitcoin. That has paid off so far. If we take a look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, if we pull this up, we can see that Ethereum has been underperforming against Bitcoin for the majority of the last year. You can see that since September 2022, we've been in a downtrend here. Ethereum has been outperformed by Bitcoin, and we have started to see a little bit of reversal off the back of the Bitcoin ETFs launching, but we're now seeing a reversal back here again, and we are within that range here. Now, typically prior to a Bitcoin halving, let's pull up the Bitcoin halving event. So Bitcoin halving, let's try and spell that right. Bitcoin halving events. Here we go. This is on the chart now. You can see that if we go onto the weekly chart, this might be a little bit better. Prior to a halving, Bitcoin typically outperforms Ethereum. And then after that halving, what we are going, well, do you know what? This cycle is a much better example here. Prior to a Bitcoin halving, what we will see is Bitcoin outperform Ethereum. And then just a couple of months before the Bitcoin halving, we will see a reversal there, and we will start to see Ethereum moving to the upside against Bitcoin and outperforming Bitcoin. So if the same were to happen this cycle, what we are having is we expect to have a Bitcoin halving on the 17th of April was the last time I checked, 2024. So what we could be seeing here is a bottom on this chart, and this would align perfectly with what happened last time. Bitcoin has been outperforming Ethereum for this period of time. We are now a couple of months before that Bitcoin halving. We are starting to see what could be a bottom on this chart, and we could start to see Ethereum now begin to outperform Bitcoin. Now, what does that mean? If Ethereum's outperforming Bitcoin, typically a lot of the altcoins are performing as well and outperforming Bitcoin as well. So although I've been accumulating Bitcoin for the last 12 months, I'm now looking to diversify a little bit and spread out a little bit more. So because of this shift that's happening in the markets, I'm paying close attention to what's going on here and looking to diversify. Now, when we see dips in the market, this is kind of an opportunity to start to diversify a little bit more. So I'm seeing this opportunity, this dip definitely as an opportunity here, but to take advantage of it at this point in time is a difficult one because as we've highlighted in this stream, there are two strong ways that Bitcoin could go. We are already down 20%. FTX has stopped selling their Bitcoin, and we're seeing huge buying volumes absorbing all the selling pressure in the markets right now. So this could be the end of the dip. And if it is, I want to take advantage of that. So I have started to diversify a little bit more at this point in time, but I've also kept some on the sidelines because I'm prepared that if Bitcoin goes down to $34,000, I'm going to want to diversify some more. I'm going to want to accumulate some altcoins. And when I'm saying altcoins, I'm talking about the high cap coins because they kind of perform the best at the start of the cycle. So I'm stepping into the markets more, stepping into the altcoin markets more, getting a little bit exposure to them. And if we move to the upside, brilliant. I've got that little bit more exposure to high cap coins, and I'll continue to diversify over the next couple of months. However, if the price moves to the downside, I want to have that liquidity to take advantage of it further. So that's how I'm playing it, really, that in both scenarios, it will be a win. And that's how you always have to play the markets, because trying to always catch the bottom is just not a strategy that is going to be be successful. We've seen it over and over again in the markets. You have to make a plan that is going to mean that you don't become an emotional trader. And this is how I've decided to trade it this time around. I've chose to stick into Bitcoin until the start of 2024. I'm now looking to diversify into high cap coins. I'll then be looking at mid cap coins a couple of months after, and then I'll be looking at the low cap coins, continuing with these 4-year cycles. Now, who's to say these 4-year cycles will last? Who's to say they will form in the exact same way that they did last time and the time before? Nobody. But the trend is typically your friend. If we take a look at the chat, Jason Smith has said Bitcoin doesn't always repeat, but it does rhyme. Exactly. So that is the methodology that I am using for this bull market. Whether it plays out exactly as I want it to, who knows? But so far, it seems to be treating me well. So as long as you have a plan and you stick to it, that's the most important thing. Having a plan in crypto is so important. Rob says, when you say diversify, would you take money out of Bitcoin? Oh, and then you deleted your message. Yeah, so I am choosing to diversify, sell some Bitcoin and move into altcoins. When I was buying Bitcoin as much as I could with all of my pennies, scooping them together and buying Bitcoin. So I don't really have much left, but this was throughout the whole bear market, so it's in a profit now, and I would like to take some of those profits and diversify into some high cap coins. So I'm personally looking at the top 20 right now when it comes to high cap coins, and then following the Bitcoin halving, I'm expecting to see a little bit of a bearish period in April, but every dip now I'm looking to diversify, and then a couple of months after the Bitcoin halving, I'll be then looking at the mid cap coins, and eventually looking at the low cap coins, where we do start to see some huge gains as well. But some people, there's so many different strategies out there, so my strategy isn't 100% correct. I know that I'm not getting the most out of the markets that I could get. There are some people that find a coin that is going to perform well within 24 hours every single day and just managed to take profit after profit after profit. My strategy is definitely playing the long game, not taking on as much risk as many other people in the space, and just trying to kind of slowly get increments in my portfolio. That's not the strategy for everyone. I take on a lot less risk than the average person in cryptocurrency, so that is my strategy to do so. But if you want to create your own strategy, we do have some free courses on cryptosavingexpert.com. You just make a free account and you'll be able to get some access to the Crypto 101 courses, and we've got a course in there that teaches you about how to make your own strategy, the importance of creating your own strategy. In the last bull market, I went into the markets and just had no strategy, just went full bull, trying to accumulate everything as quick as possible, leverage everything as quick as possible. I had long-term holds on like 3x leverage because I wanted to maximize the opportunity, and it just all fell to pieces. When Bitcoin fell, my whole portfolio got liquidated. It was an absolute disaster. I don't want to do that this time around. I want to have a plan. I want to stick to it, and that is exactly what I've been doing, and I recommend that to everybody. So make sure to just create a plan. Doesn't have to be the same as mine. You don't have to mirror mine, but just create a plan. Look at the markets. Look at how Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets have performed in previous cycles, and make decisions about what you're going to do with your own portfolio. Don't trade with emotion. Don't make sudden decisions all of a sudden. Just be cautious, create your plans, and stick to it. And that is the most important thing. Yes, sometimes you may want to take 5% of your portfolio and try and trade it and see what happens if you think there's an opportunity in the market that you can't miss. But just create those plans, stick to them, and that will be the best way to do it. Don't just go in with no plan, because we've all been there, we've all done that, and it doesn't work out like we expect. Although it may be great in the middle of the bull market, towards the end of the bull market, it gets a little bit hectic, and a lot of us have been liquidated when we haven't had a solid plan. Let's take a look at what's going on in the chat here. Rob says, when you say diversify, would you take money out of Bitcoin and buy a alt that's lost more percent? Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at there. I'm looking at some altcoins that I think will outperform Bitcoin, because my end goal is to have more Bitcoin at the end of the bull market. My end goal isn't to buy altcoins now and hold them through another bear market. My end goal is to have as much Bitcoin as possible. So we're playing this at this point. I'm expecting, if we continue with the 4-year cycles, the next cycle to finish in September 2025, so September next year. So at that point, I want to have as much Bitcoin as possible, and maybe I'll be even choosing to sell some Bitcoin at that point in time if we are looking like we are going to head back into that bear market and start the cycles all over again. But let's take a look at what else is going on. in the markets today, because we've still got a whole lot of news to discuss and we've not even got through a lot of the articles today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We've got 21 likes on today's stream. Let's try and get to that like goal of 25. We might even have to increase it. I think it might have been too easy after all. We've got 26 people viewing today's stream on YouTube, so thank you very much for tuning in. As always, we have more to discuss here. Let's see what's going on in the markets here. So Bitcoin ETFs are one of the most important investments of our lifetime. I always love an article about Cathie Woods because it's always going to be bullish. It's so nice to see. Woods says Bitcoin ETFs are the biggest of all crypto ideas. Cathie Woods, the founder and CEO of American asset manager firm ARK Invest, believes that Bitcoin exchange traded funds are one of the most important investments of our lifetime. So let's take a look at this. She was speaking at an interview with CNBC. And she said that the recent plunge and the mass outflows from GBTC has not disrupted the crypto community's point of view and confidence in the digital asset. Well, I would like to highlight something here really, really important. What we've seen in the last couple of weeks is these ETFs have gone live. A huge amount of tokens have been bought up by Bitcoin ETF issuers, BlackRock, Fidelity, VanEck. They've all been accumulating a huge amount of Bitcoin to back their ETFs, to fund their ETFs. So a huge amount of Bitcoin has actually become partially illiquid in a sense. We are also going to see the Bitcoin halving in April this year, and that is going to mean that the inflation rate of Bitcoin is going to halve. Now, what does this all add up to? We have seen a lot of analysts discussing the potential of a liquidity crunch where we see the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges falling dramatically, therefore surging the price of Bitcoin a lot quicker than we are expecting right now. So definitely keeping an eye on that and to see what's happening here. Let's see what else is going on. So on the other hand, Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, let's start from here. Since the first 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs listed on securities agencies on 11th of January, Bitcoin has risen to $48,000 and fallen to $38,800, confirming speculations that the approval would be a sell the news event. On the other hand, Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, which was converted to a spot ETF alongside the approval of other products, has recorded a tsunami of outflows, with the bankrupt crypto exchange FTX being responsible for the sale of funds shares worth roughly $1 billion. Altogether, GBTC has suffered around $4 billion in withdrawals, with Grayscale's addresses offloading thousands of Bitcoin daily. So this has created selling pressure in the markets, because when GBTC sees those outflows, they send the Bitcoin to Coinbase and it's released into the market. So despite GBTC's woes and Bitcoin's decline, Cathie Woods says, whose company is one of the ETF issuers, she says it's very excited that Bitcoin is now in an ETF wrapper and has become accessible to investors at low prices. She explained that speculation about the event came true because investors expected Bitcoin's price to hold a little more than it has. So what we've seen is, let's see what she said here. Here's the quote here. There is speculation beforehand. Will this be a sell on the news event? We said yes, and then we were hearing that so much that we thought, well, maybe not. Well, it turns out that FTX's nearly $1 billion in GBTC has been sold as the Bitcoin ETF has come out. I think this has been part of the pressure. So she's highlighting here, FTX have been selling a huge amount of the GBTC stock, essentially causing selling pressure in the markets. But now that's come to an end, it doesn't represent the entire cryptocurrency space and the thoughts in the crypto space right now. It's not just because GBTC's seen a huge amount of outflows doesn't mean loads of people are rushing to sell their GBTC. A lot of the selling pressure has come from one single source, from FTX. So that has manipulated the price more. If that news hadn't come out that it was FTX, yes, we would be a little bit more concerned. But now we've found out that it was an anomaly in a sense. It was all FTX. If you remove FTX's sales from the markets, I think things would be looking really differently. So, although FTX, yes, have chosen to sell their assets, the general consensus across the rest of the industry is that these Bitcoin ETFs have been really positive and there's been a lot of buying pressure. So she's saying, look, just disregard what's happened with FTX here, and things are still looking bullish in the markets. So let's see what else is going on in the crypto news here. We have Bitwise ETF becomes over-collateralized after 6,969 sats was sent to the Bitcoin address. So on Wednesday, Bitwise posted posted its Bitcoin address, which holds its BITB Bitcoin. Announcement today, the BITB Bitcoin becomes the first US Bitcoin ETF to publish the Bitcoin addresses of its holdings. We were actually discussing this in yesterday's stream and saying, look, it could be a standard at some point where they have to disclose what their Bitcoin addresses are. But a lot of these ETFs have chosen not to disclose right now because of security concerns. But after launching their Bitcoin address and showing us all what address they are holding their Bitcoin in, we've actually seen some Satoshis being sent to that address. So in the hours after Bitwise's transparency post, it was highlighted that BITB had become over-collateralized due to an individual sending several thousand sats to the address. Somebody just sent 6,969 sats to Bitwise's ETF. It's now the only over-collateralized ETF, according to this analyst here. So maybe we'll see more of this. He stated, I'm pretty sure this is a first for ETFs. Someone donating the underlying asset to the fund, which is now possible because Bitwise published their Bitcoin address. Never a dull moment, I swear. So I think that's a pretty interesting concept here, and maybe we'll see more of this, or maybe we'll see who knows what's going to happen here, because releasing those addresses allows people to send lots of money to lots of Bitcoin to these exchanges. As I've just said, new concept here. So I think this is more of a headline than something that's going to impact the space. But it's interesting to see people are looking at this, trying to create excitement around this, trying to create headlines for Bitcoin. Maybe that was the underlying goal at the end of the day there. Let's see what else is going on in the news here. Let's see what's going on here. So the SEC delays BlackRock spot Ethereum ETF. Decisions are still due in May. So after Bitcoin's ETFs were accepted by the SEC, there was a huge rush to buy Ethereum because people wanted to front run the Ethereum ETF applications. We have seen that kind of quieting down within the last couple of days following the ETF launch, because we've seen this whole pullback in the markets. But there is still excitement here that we could see an Ethereum ETF very, very soon. Maybe that will be the reason that we do see a drive to the upside with the Ethereum BTC chart here, but this is definitely the chart that I want to be keeping an eye on right now. Let's see what else is going on in the markets. We've got a couple of news articles that I just want to skim through today, and then we'll take another look at the Bitcoin price. We've got 22 likes on today's stream, and the like goal for today was 25, so please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. What we've got here is Tesla's Bitcoin holdings have remained unchanged, so it's released its Q4 2023 financial results, which outlines its Bitcoin holdings. Positive news there. We also did see some really positive news when it comes to Bitcoin turning green for Bitcoin mining, and reaching over 50% of sustainable energy usage for Bitcoin meant that maybe we will see some more pro-Bitcoin stances coming from Tesla and Elon Musk in 2024. That's what he promised anyway back in 2021, so we'll see what happens there. Let's see what else is going on here. So Hut 8 responds to pump and dump short seller report. Bitcoin miner Hut 8 report Corp has responded to short seller J Capital Research's report, which claimed their manager with USBTC had the makings of a pump and dump. If you are interested in this article, I'm going to drop the link to that in today's chat, but we're going to skim over it today. What else have we got here in the markets? Avalanche Foundation lists key criteria for projects to qualify for Culture Catalyst Fund. The $100 million war chest of funds will not be handed over easily to meme coin projects. So I think this is important here. I think this is nice to see here. So on Tuesday, the Avalanche Foundation posted a blog post listing specific criteria projects must meet to qualify for a grant from the fund. The fund is targeted towards meme coins, which are referred to as a community coins by the foundation. The first criterion projects must meet is they must be at least 1 month old. This barrier ensures that projects attempting a quick pump and dump do not get access to the fund. The meme coins must also have their contracts renounced. Whales must not own a considerable size of the supply, and the token must have at least $200,000 in liquidity. So they've put some criteria here, but the Avalanche Foundation are looking to create some grant some funds to meme coins in the space, trying to create some hype on the network, I imagine, and create some volatility there and try and draw people towards that network. I will drop the link to this article in today's chat if you are interested in taking a look at that. The final one of the day is Nexo demands $3 billion in damages from Bulgaria, says aborted probe derailed its US listing plans. So Nexo claims the allegation dealt a devastating blow to their businesses. What I'm going to do is drop this link into the chat as well. I'm sure a lot of you right now remember what happened here. So let's run through this one quickly, actually. So crypto lender Nexo is seeking billions in compensation from Bulgaria over a criminal investigation that was later abandoned. So back in January last year, a lot of you will remember we were reporting this on the channel. The Bulgarian authorities reportedly raided over 15 Nexo offices in the country over suspected money laundering and tax violations. The prosecutors has also accused Nexo founders of participating in an organized criminal group. At the time, this was a massive story. But later in December, so just a couple of months ago, last month, the prosecutors dropped the charges against Nexo and its founder, clearing Nexo of any criminal wrongdoing as no evidence was found. And now Nexo is saying, but you've created reputational damages to our company. These stories were making the headlines, and they're now seeking $3 billion in damages from the Bulgaria authorities. So let's see what's happening there. Let's keep an eye on that one, because that's a pretty interesting one. It's kind of just damaged their reputation and said, you know what, actually, we didn't find anything. Carry on as you were. And expecting Nexo to go, okay, brilliant, let's go. I mean, they've suffered hugely from this. This was main headline story when it comes to the crypto space. Let's see what else is going on here in the chat. We've got 25 likes on today's stream. We've hit the like goal of the day. Thank you very much. Please also don't forget, if you have just joined, to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Let's take a look at what's going on here for Bitcoin. Let's highlight all of these key levels for those that have just joined the stream. The yellow levels here are the key points that we've identified on the liquidation heat map. This map identifies where a huge amount of traders would get liquidated if the price were to move to those zones. You can see we've got a huge liquidation point at $34,000, so we've highlighted that on our chart here. We have a smaller liquidation point at $40,800 if you were to zoom in. So both of these, in my eyes, are acting like a magnet for the Bitcoin price. That's something to be aware of. We also have a key level of previous support at $41,260 right now. We could be using this as a level of resistance. We could try and reclaim it and use it as a level of support. This is the level that I have my eye on right now. I want to see how we act at this range. We do have that small magnet at $40,800 from that liquidation point. So this is attracting us up to that level. If we see a rejection of that point, then I'm looking down at that $37,887 level as a level of support. Again, if we don't manage to hold that, then we're looking down at hitting that $34,000 key liquidation level, liquidating a huge amount of traders and causing a quick sharp move to the downside, because liquidations create selling pressure that can cause a big wick to the downside. So this is what I'm preparing for here in the most bearish scenario. Now, in the most bullish scenario is, yes, we've seen on-chain data is showing that although the markets have had a move to the downside, we've had a 20% downturn. That's big enough. That suffices to be a Bitcoin bull market pullback, and we can continue to the upside. FTX have stopped selling. We're seeing inflows. We're seeing buying pressure absorb all of the selling pressure in the markets right now. We've not seen huge wicks to the downside from the selling pressure in the markets. So it could be that this is the end of the pullback. Maybe we'll get some more sideways action here, and maybe we will be able to reclaim that level of support. And this is kind of the bullish scenario here, that we do manage to reclaim that and have another confirmation bounce here. There are two very different options when it comes to the Bitcoin price right now, and I think it depends on what happens if we do manage to get back up to this price range. If we see a strong decline from it, then we will know to look down at this level. But if we manage to reclaim it, then we could look up at higher prices. So we're in a crucial point right now. I'm dealing with this by taking advantage of this dip, but keeping some capital to the sides in case we do go lower. And in that scenario, I'm happy in either way. If we go up, I've managed to buy the dip. If we go down, I buy the dip more. It's really that simple. Let's see what else is going on in the chat here. Alex Bell says like button hit, sir. Yes, please do. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button. That's all of our news for today. I think we're done with the Bitcoin analysis. As I've been saying on today's stream, we're kind of hitting the point now where I'm expecting Bitcoin to start to be outperformed by Ethereum and some of those high cap coins, but I am being cautious because we could be in for a lot of sideways action ahead of the Bitcoin halving. We could be in for some bearish action over April when we do see that Bitcoin halving, before we really start to see this bull market kick off. So I'm being cautious right now, taking advantage of any opportunity we get in the markets, but playing the long game, because it could be that we do get more sideways action than a lot of people are expecting. But that's all we have for today's stream, I think. So thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I hope you have enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification button, and I will see you all back here tomorrow.